You're listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
Hey girls and guys, it's Kyle from Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Thank you for checking out this episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength, and thank you for all the support so far. Things have been going really well. Got some really cool stuff I'm working on bringing to you. So just keep spreading the word for me. Leave a review on the podcast if you have not yet, and we'll get into it for today. What I'm going to talk about today are my 2 secrets to success. Now, there are multiple things that success can mean. Before we go into this, it's very important that you take the time to develop your definition of success. If you remember back to some of the mind map episodes, or when you hear me talk about mind mapping, it's very, very important for the brain to have clarity to move forward. Now, in life, what I've seen is we have default definitions. The big 2 are health. When people think of health, they automatically think of losing weight, losing fat. And the other one is success. When they hear success, they automatically think of more money, more money, more money. And nothing wrong with having more money. I'm all for that. I believe in capitalism. That's part of being an entrepreneur. However, there's more to it than just making money. For example, if I was going to go work at a Wall Street job every day, there's nothing wrong with that. I'd probably be making a lot of money if I did that. If I was, working at one of these hedge funds or whatnot. Not that I'm qualified to do that. But there would be no passion on my end. I would be waking up to go to work to just make money. And that is not a good place to be. But I realize that a lot of people are in that spot, and don't worry, because that's the whole scope of Unlocking Your Inner Strength, is to help you move forward in life and to create the life that you envision. It's really to help you step into your greatness that's awaiting you. So that's my little rant about making sure that you have a definition of what success means to you. So I have 2 things here. I have my number 1 strength and a secret drug that I've used for years. I'm very open when I talk about anabolic steroids and my views on those things. But what I'm going to talk about first is this secret drug. So when I was in high school, that's when I got hooked on the gym and working out and becoming the best I could be. The guys that I was hanging out with, they were primarily a year older. They were, seniors. I was a junior. And they were strong as heck, huge. The one kid, Diaz, was just a monster. He was a 6'4" Puerto Rican guy. And this guy looked like an IFBB pro when he was in high school. But we'd go to the gym and to the local YMCA. We'd spend hours in there. I'm talking like 2-3 hour workouts we would do. And we didn't know any better. We just, we loved hitting the weights. I wanted to get bigger. I wanted to catch up to these guys. So we would experiment with things like Ultimate Orange, which is no longer around. Ultimate Orange was nuts. That was loaded with like ephedra. It was loaded with all these other stimulants, and you would take that and you would like literally start like having tremors and start shaking. And then you'd go out and try to hit a heavy set or whatever it was you're doing. Later on the next year after those guys moved on to college and I was a senior in high school, I would experiment with over-the-counter testosterone boosters and things of that nature. But the whole while I was doing this stuff and really starting out and looking for a magic pill, I discovered a drug called PHW. That's PHW. And this is something I would say really, really kicked in for me when I was a junior in high school, sophomore, junior, when I was really obsessed with basketball. I would, as you may or may not know, I would practice before school. I would practice after school. I used to take 500 jump shots a day. I still have the sheets up in my parents' attic where I'd mark the shots off about, how many I made. I would do bundles of 25, and I would, just mark them off. I would outwork everybody. I was hitting the gym. Now, the gym was not my primary focus. I was using the gym to get better at basketball. But if you go back to those two guys, Diaz and one of the other primary guys was Popzilla. They had planted a seed in my head, and I just became obsessed with lifting and bodybuilding. And I don't even know when the transition really happened between, I know, but I can't pinpoint a day between my love of basketball, which I still love, and my love of bodybuilding. Now, to be clear, I do think my love of bodybuilding initially was because I was very insecure. I was on Accutane going into high school my freshman year. I was very shy around girls. So I thought maybe it would give me more confidence and make me more attractive to them. Nonetheless, I got hooked. And going back to my senior year now, I wasn't going to play basketball because all I wanted to do was get stronger in the weight room and put on muscle. And I remember the football coach tried to get me to come out for football my senior year because I put on 30 pounds between my junior and senior year. But no, I was laser-like focused. I was locked in. I decided to play basketball. It was a great choice, looking back at it and even during it, which I'll talk about in a second. Because I want to make sure that you get all the things that pop into my mind. But I played, and I would go to the gym during basketball season. Okay, so the YMCA. I would go there. Sometimes I'd ride my bike before high school, before classes started. So I'd get over there at 5 a.m. and I'd hit the weights. And the reason I did that was because I knew that I was going to be drained after practice and after games to hit the weights and to give the weights my full attention. And how did I know that? Because in the beginning part of the season, that's what I tried to do. I would come home from games, practice, could be 10 o'clock at night. I'd go down to our basement and I'd hit the weights. There was no missing, no matter what. And that's when I realized the power of PHW. Now, you may be asking yourself what PHW is. PHW is really something so simple. Just like anything, right? People want a magic shortcut, a way to get there. But that would be easy. PHW is not easy. And what it is, guys, is pure hard work. Now, you might be thinking, I waited for this. I can't believe this. This is nuts. But whatever. I would say that, along with the next thing I'm going to go over, has been the key to, me personally living a life that I've dreamt about. And I love my life. I can honestly say that I love life. I love what I'm doing with my life. And I think it comes across in my energy with people. But it's not sexy, okay? Going to the gym for those 3 to 4 hour workouts, waking up before school, taking 500 jump shots a day. The seed was planted in my head that, yes, I may not be as smart as somebody else. I might not be as strong as somebody else. I might not have the same advantages that they have. But I always made a promise to myself back then that was nobody's going to outwork me. Somebody might be more talented than me, but they will not outwork me. And I still carry that mentality around today. So when I'm trying to create things in my life and put forth my art and keep carving out my legacy in this world, I go back to PHW. I'm willing to do the things that I have to do to wake up early. I'm willing to stay up late. I'm willing to, be militant with my time. You go back to the time mastery episode about that, but everything. And the key with PHW is I try to link almost everything I do in my life to my goals. That's another key. And that's something I'm going to make note of here to go over more for you guys in a future episode. PHW, it's going to be hard at first. Pure hard work is hard at first because it's like when you're a locomotive, when you're a train, right? The hardest part is when you start, when you're trying to go from standing still to moving this massive piece of equipment in the thousands and thousands of tons. It's hardest at the beginning, but once you get it going, momentum will kind of carry you. Okay, the steam engine is rolling, so to say, and it's the same thing with PHW. It's going to make you step out of your comfort zone. You cannot say that you don't have time to create the life of your dreams, because you do. We all have the same amount of time. It might be that you're choosing not to use the time the way that you have to carve out that life of your dreams. But the time is there. And if you apply a little bit of PHW, you can really do whatever it is that you want to do with your life. I'm a firm believer of that. And start small. Maybe it's waking up 5 minutes earlier. Maybe it's 10 minutes earlier. Maybe it's working on your passion project after you eat lunch at work. So maybe you cut your lunch and your socializing down a little bit at lunch, and you say, guys, you don't even have to say anything to them. You just go do your thing. But that is one of the top 2 qualities I'm going to try to pass on to Braxton. Now, the second thing, my number one strength, and I was thinking about this morning when I was going for the walk with Dax and Matina, and, we were circling back towards the house. And I was listening to some audio tracks. Now, I made a big decision this year, and it might sound so simple, but it was huge. I did not renew my Sirius satellite subscription. Now, let me tell you this. The reason I got Sirius satellite, and I loved it, back when I got it, though, was because of Howard Stern. Now, it doesn't matter if you like Stern or not. The reason I got it to listen to him was because he's a fascinating storyteller, and he's a super successful person. Whether you agree with him or not, he's living his passion out day in and day out, and he's very smart, and he works his tail off. But he was on to something as far as how to connect with people and how to create an awesome life for himself through storytelling and just experiences. So that's why I had gotten it originally. But then it turns into, okay, when I'm driving around, not that I drive much anywhere, but if I have to go to one of the high school football games or something, you can listen to music, you can listen to sports talk radio, entertaining stuff that doesn't do anything for you. And I shouldn't say it doesn't do anything for you. Sometimes the brain has to chill out, but most people listen to music on the way to work, on the way back. Now, if you can use, a quick aside here, your life soundtrack, remember Hebb's Law, what gets fired together gets wired together. If you can use that to put yourself in a great state, either going to work or coming home, that's awesome. But you don't need to listen to mindless talk radio with music kind of sprinkled in, especially if you are trying to create a magical life for yourself. So getting back to why it was such a big decision and a keystone decision for me, I said, okay, whenever I'm driving or walking around, because we go on at least an hour walk every day, me and the pups in Braxton, I'm going to listen to something that's going to educate me. And that's something I got away from for a little while, but it's leveraging my time, and it's linking, again, everything that I do towards my goals. So I'm listening to a PR kit manual by a great guy named Paul Hartunian. And some people might think it's boring, but I'm fascinated. I'm so obsessed with learning. Like, if I can't learn on a day, then I'm really not myself. So I leverage learning everywhere I'm going. In the car, I'm listening to audio tracks, audio books, audio CDs. When I'm walking around, I got my headset on and I'm listening to stuff that I have stored on my phone. And it's usually stuff that's educating me. And I can honestly say that that's my number one strength. As much as I love to write and create and do other stuff, I wouldn't be able to do that stuff to the best of my ability if I wasn't the lifelong student. And what's funny and ironic about that is when I graduated college, I remember we were out at it might have been on the football field at the University of Delaware. And my dad, D. Wizzle, said something about, I bet you're glad you're done. I can't remember what he said, but I know my response, and he'll tell you the same thing, was, I'm never opening another book in my life, Dad. I was a slow reader. I didn't like to read. I was petrified of giving presentations. Academically, I was pretty good, but if, I look at my three brothers, they were kind of brainiacs, very, very academically gifted. And what brought me to being a lifelong student really was after college. I was competing in bodybuilding shows, and then I was stricken by that mysterious stomach illness, which I believe I talked about a while back. And I was depressed. I mean, there was a day when I actually sat there. It was a night, I should say. Me and my best friend had gone out, and I was so depressed when I got back. I actually took a knife out of the drawer, and that was the closest I ever came to ending my life, because I just couldn't take the pain, and it just was a bad spot I was in. If you fast forward, though, to the next year, I was still suffering with this mysterious, disease that was like Crohn's, but it wasn't Crohn's. And I started reading. I said, okay, I'm gonna compete again in bodybuilding. I got to do something, because my life was just a mess, and I had to do something to get me out of the house and kind of move forward. And that was a trickle-down effect, because I looked up, I was competing in natural bodybuilding shows at the time, and I looked up this guy, Skip LaCour, who I still have his autographed picture at the gym, and he was really big into mindset. I said, well, what's this about, this mindset stuff? And he kept talking about Tony Robbins. I went to a Tony Robbins event on Awaken the Giant Within, which is still one of my all-time favorite books. So then I started reading Tony Robbins, and I would stay up every night. But what that did was let me know the power of my mind on more than just one plane as well. But I'm going to stick with the educational part right here. And Tony Robbins would mention an author or a book like Stephen Covey. Boom, I'd go get that book. And all of a sudden it became this momentum. I started going. The PHW started kicking in. And I just started moving rapidly and taking massive action and trying to educate myself on stuff that I didn't know. And it just permeated through all areas of my life. Every time I get away from being a student, that's when I struggle the most in my life. And I think it's also not natural, but kind of ironic that, I'm a teacher at heart. I know I resigned from my actual job of teaching, but one of the conversations I had with a few mentors at that time when I was trying to make that very tough decision was, I love teaching. I love teaching the kids. And I came to the conclusion, look, you're still going to be teaching your whole life. The demographic might change, but you're still going to be teaching. So teaching and being a student go hand in hand. In fact, the best way to learn something is to teach it. And I'm a firm believer in that. And anybody that thinks, kind of like I did, and I'm sure a lot of you feel like this, that education is what happens when you're at school. Let me tell you something. And I can say this again because I was a teacher and I come from a family of teachers. Teachers do a wonderful job. They have a very, very tough job. But the majority of the actual learning of stuff that you're going to need in your life takes place in elementary school. Other than that, it's not designed to help you find what you're passionate about, how to create stuff, how to think outside the box. So to me, learning and education is everything that happens after you're done with school. Okay, like if you look at college, for example, it's not really your degree. It's being away from home and learning the social ins and outs and being on your own, learning who you are as a person. But, a student, that is my primary role. And that trickles down to everything else in my life, being a father, being a husband, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, trying to be a leader, being a friend, being a brother. It's because I'm a student that I can do those things to the best of my ability. So those are my 2 keys, my 2 secrets to success. And, to recap PHW, pure hard work, it's going to be tough at first. It's going to make you step out of your comfort zone, but it's well worth it. You can work harder than you're working right now and smarter. But I'm talking about just having that persistence. Remember, enthusiasm is very easy to have. Endurance is not. And that separates the 2 types of people in this world. And the second thing, right, is become a lifelong student. Find something that you're endlessly curious about. Curiosity is key with that. And that combination has been potent for me. I mean, it's been everything. So maybe you might have different things, your 2 things that are going to lead you to your success. Feel free to use these. That's what I'm here for, to help try to guide you and teach you. And that's all I got for this week, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really appreciate all the support. If you haven't had the chance yet, please leave a review on iTunes, good, bad, ugly, whatever. Either way, it's going to help the show. It's going to help me in unlocking your inner strength. And share it with a friend if you can, if you like the message that I'm trying to put down every week. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.